We are live. We always do that. I have no idea when we're going live. So day 3 of International Women's Week, and on the Choose to Challenge theme, to be honest, we couldn't get more of a choosing to challenge duo who I've known for years and followed them since almost day 1, and couldn't be prouder in like a mother bear kind of way, because what they're achieving. Founders of Hanx. What you keep adding things. So what started as you know a luxury condom brand is now full on sexual health and lube, and I'll let you say what you would call it now. Sexual wellness company, brand, what? So you've got Farah and Sarah. So Farah, how would you describe Hanx now so that I don't fuck it up?
Hi, thanks for having us. And actually, you were following us from day 1, but we were following you before day 1. I think we purposefully sat on your table at a table crowd, so we were stalking you before you did that to us. So Hanx is a sexual and intimate wellness brand designed with women in mind. So we cover products all the way from your first time in between to your first child and beyond. So anything that supports female health, including vaginal health.
You said vagina, and it's like before it's like 10 in the morning, Farah.
It's just normal. It's just a common language for us now.
I know. It's very with that. That's what. And do you know what? I've even brought out my I love cock mug just for you guys. For my morning cup of tea, I thought, let's lower the tone completely.
Oh, I love it.
So the whole choose to challenge theme, which I think is brilliant, because actually, women have had such a shit year on all levels, and it's all coming out, and there's a lot of anger in this imbalance that has come out in the last year. So that whole challenge thing, I think there's a bit of anger in there. It's a theme. It's not kind of, oh, let's be empowered. It's like, right, what are we challenging? What isn't right? What are we angry about? Because anger really kind of fuels things to happen. And that on that front with Hanx, tell us the story of like why did your background was in finance, Farah. Sarah, you're an obgyn. I can't even. There's too many words there. Obstetrician gynecologist. Obgyny, do you call it? I don't know. Yeah. That's your background. But where, Sarah, kick us off. Like how did it start that you two just suddenly went, right, this is what we're doing. This is what we want to challenge.
Yeah, no, good question. Actually, Farah and I go way back. We're friends from school, so we've known each other for ages. And Farah went into finance, worked in investment banking for a long time. And then, like Sarah, went to medicine and worked in obs and gynae, so women's health, vaginal health, babies, all that kind of stuff. And I was working in sexual health clinics at the time. And this was back in 2016, Farah, 15, 16. And Farah and I were both, working hard in our respective day jobs, and met for lunch and started talking about condoms like you do. I was working in sexual health clinics, so seeing the rise of like really difficult to treat STIs, women coming in with, difficult to treat thrush or recurrent infections, but also kind of problems because of products they were using. So like things that were flavored, or like femme washes that were supposed to keep you clean but were kind of causing irritation down below. So I was telling Farah about this kind of frustration I was seeing in clinic. And then Farah told me about an awkward bump in. I don't know whether you want to tell that.
I bumped into my boss whilst buying condoms on my lunch break. Super embarrassing. So Boots is a couple of doors down from our office, and I had just come off hormonal contraceptives because the side effects just weren't working for me. So condoms are the only option at the time. But if you go down the condom aisle, the products are garishly packaged. They promote a man's conquest. You're baffled by the choice, and you want to be in and out of there as quickly as possible. So like I had this pack of red condoms with my Boots meal deal, deodorant, anything else that could cover pack. And lo and behold, my boss was there. So I was explaining about this awkward bump in Sarah, and as Sarah's explaining sort of what she's seen in clinics, we sort of had this light bulb moment, and we're like, we're going to create condoms for women. We're going to do this. And then we researched the market, and we were like, okay, this is a big feat, but we still want to do it. And we're really excited by it. But no one was doing it in Europe. And we just thought there's a real opportunity here to serve women who don't feel it, who have never felt empowered to take control of their sexual health.
We just felt like as well, like the whole sexual wellness space was like, there wasn't enough, about empowering women to take control of that. And it was all kind of stigmatized or a little bit taboo. And actually we were thinking, why shouldn't a brand feel positive and great about this kind of thing? Like, you're protecting yourself against, you know, STIs or unwanted pregnancy, and like that should be a good thing, and you should feel good about doing that, not like negative and tacky. So yeah, we got really excited about it. And there was so many other things wrong with the market, like lack of vegan options, lack of sustainable options, lack of, you know, transparency around ingredients. So yeah, that was in 2007. Well, 2017 we launched condoms.
And how did you go? Because a lot of people have ideas, and a lot of people look at you guys and go, okay, how do you go from your two backgrounds and having this conversation about, you know, it was garish and men's, and, you know, it's very male sort of, the features of like, right, it's all about the conquest, and, you know, don't be a fool and wrap your tool and all that kind of stuff. How do you then go to, right, we're launching a condom? Like, where did it start? Like, how do you start doing that? How do you go through those initial steps of?
It's worth noting this lunch like turned into like a whole night thing, and we'd had quite a lot to drink by this point. So we were like, the next day we were like, are we doing this? We're like, yes. But we did. So we researched loads. We got so excited about it, and we kept having different ideas of like how the brand would look and where we'd be and what we'd, you know, how we'd launch the company. So the fact that we were so inspired and excited by it, and it was all we could think about, we knew that we were onto something, and it was something we were passionate about and wanted to pursue. So we were like, we need to make sure before we quit our day jobs, we need to make sure there's a market. So we did a whole heap of research and surveyed over 2,000 women to do our own study, and found that, you know, there was something in what we thought the market needed. And then we quit our day jobs and found a manufacturer that we could, you know, do everything that we wanted them to do. It didn't happen overnight, and Farah and I are both pretty impatient. So we're like, why is this not happening as quickly as we want it to? But I think it's just like hard work, perseverance, surrounding yourself by the right people, getting support. Like, you were super supportive in the beginning, and then it was so nice to have, like, you know, kind of inspiration from someone who's kind of paved the way in something a little bit taboo as well. So, you know, surrounding yourself by support and mentors is also really helpful. Was really helpful for us. And then started with condoms, moved into lube, and then we've also just recently launched an intimate wellness platform on our site as well for vaginal health treatments, things like thrush, BV, cystitis.
And that you can get it. Is it postal? You get it. Yeah, you can have things posted, because that's part of it, isn't it? That whole kind of, a lot of people don't do, because they don't want to walk in, like, that as you getting caught, Farah, of kind of going in and speaking about it, or even speaking about thrush. It's just this kind of so that poster thing. Yeah,
it's like the conversations attached to it, right? You feel like the person that you're buying from at the counter is judging you, and we shouldn't feel that way. It's our health at the end of the day.
I do that with tampons. It's pathetic doing what I do, and I literally have less shame than most women out there. And I still, when I go and buy tampons, I have to buy about 10 other things, so they're all in a pile together, and then I can't look the person in the eye. I'm like, fucking hell, I'm 42 years old. I've had 3 babies, and like, you know, so, and I do what I do for a living. So why is this shame of still there, of an embarrassment of just buying tampons? I mean, it's ridiculous.
It's drilled into us, though, isn't it? From like,
it's drilled in from when we were little, isn't it? Which is why my 2-year-old can now say the word vagina, because I think the earliest we get it, I get them talking about things properly and just using the real words without embarrassment. And actually, it doesn't. Although she says "gina," it's quite cute. Stay away from my gina. I'm like, okay, this is going to backfire by a nursery teacher or a school teacher calling me up one day. But on the challenging front as well, because it's not, you didn't just go into an industry like, oh, I'm going to start making dresses, I'm going to, you know, start making tables, or be a graphic designer, or, you know, launch business in your own, that you launched into an industry that is so taboo, especially as women. And like Farah, we've had loads of conversations on this, your background, your religious background, and you're going to the mosque, and on that front, what did you find of that? What were the biggest challenges to you, and how did you just go for it?
Yeah, I mean, it was a real challenge. My family are quite broad-minded, and and they're not super strict, but this is like the extreme of taboos. You're going in and you're saying, I'm leaving investment banking, I'm going to start selling Johnnies. Like, we don't even watch people on the TV kissing. Like, if someone kisses on TV, someone leaves the room, someone checks their phone. Like, it's very like, you don't talk about these things. You know, I'm sure my mum probably thought that I didn't even know what a condom was. Like, so it was a bit of a shock to the system for them. Like, I'd kind of armed my mum over the weeks, like sort of probably a few months before, every now and then when I'd speak to her, I'd be like, oh, so we're thinking of this idea. And my mum was totally on board, because she was like, you're serving female health, and it's a health issue. It's not just something salacious and sexy. It's a health issue. And she was like, it doesn't matter what religion you are, whether you wear a hijab or not, people have sex, and people may not want more kids, and there could be other reasons. So she was on board. But telling, you know, the rest of my family on Christmas Day, of all days,
the male members,
it was just honestly like something out of a comedy scene. Like, my family are quite entrepreneurial, and I think that's what helped make it okay. Like, we'd obviously done all the research beforehand to make sure that there was a market. It was a calculated risk, right? There's no point in bringing out a product if 5 of them already exist, whereas there's a clear gap in the market. So when I'd sort of explained it to them, because every year they push me, they're like, oh, what's, you know, I was happy making mistakes at someone else's firm, and they're always like, oh, what's the next thing, or this property or that property, and never really had an interest. So this year I was like, oh, well, it's funny, actually, I've thought of a business idea. And honestly, like, my mum, even though she supported me, was like, oh, maybe you need to come back to York for a bit. My brother was like, didn't know what to say. My other brother was probably thinking, you need to like bring her back from London and get her or something. So it was quite dramatic, but I think over time they got it. They understood, you know, when I explained the market, the amount of women, like the data behind it, they saw it as a commercial proposition. I think that probably helped them get through. And ultimately, it's a health proposition too.
It's strange, isn't it? Because you're dealing with like 50. It's 50% of the world's population has a vulva and has has menstrual issues and has sexual issues and you know what I mean. It's sort of you can't just bury that.
You can't at all, and I think like it's really hard to tailor our comms for different cultures and traditions and religions. Like, everyone has that, you know, some tone of voices are religious, but others are actually more cultural than they are religious. Like, it's totally okay to talk about pleasure in various religions, but some people see it as taboo, and I think that will take time. We can't change that overnight, but by being open, like we are, to our siblings, our nieces, nephews, kids, whatever, that will help slowly change that over time.
Because also it's Sarah, you came from a background of vaginas anyway, so it's sort of to go into this. But I mean, I came from a very open-minded family, and we'd travel every 2 years, and we'd lived all over the world and stuff. But it was still, I still got abuse. I still got the crap from family and friends. Are like, what are you doing? This is embarrassing. And so, did you, when you told people that's what you were doing, did you have any challenges?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, like, very lucky. My family are super open-minded and always kind of said, do what makes you happy and we'll support you. And it was definitely awkward telling them, because I think they just thought it was a bit of an idea and, maybe it's not something that I'd pursue. But they were supportive nonetheless and were like, go for it. But didn't really get it. Mum was like, right, so condoms, like, what, like, anything different about the condom? Like, trying to figure out exactly our angle. But now they totally get it, obviously, after a few years down the line, and they love telling people about it, which is great. I think there was a bit like Farah leaving investment banking. It was a bit like, you spent all this time becoming a doctor. You spent, you've got this incredible training job to consultancy in Obs and Gynae in London. Like, you're just going to throw that away. And actually, like, it was probably more medics that I was working with or I knew from university that were like, I don't get it. Why are you doing that? Because there's this kind of like conveyor belt of medicine where you just go through the hoops and you're constantly just in medicine. So it's not that usual to leave. So I think there was a lot of medics that were like, I don't get it. Whereas my family were they've always been really open about anything that I do, which is great.
But but actually your med background, and this is the thing, when you study so much and you are such an expert in the field, then actually I personally think that more medics should jump into creating products and coming up with things that will fix the problems they're seeing within the clinics, rather than putting band-aids on the issues. And actually you're on that front, are you using, you've got the sexual health platform, so that are you using a lot of, obviously your background is creating that platform and the products and what didn't you like when you were in that world? What did you think that needs fixing and that's not right?
Yeah, and what's difficult with medicine is it's quite archaic and very traditional, and it takes such a long time for things to change. And people don't challenge it, right? They don't, because it's just the norm and you just go through with it. So I think in clinics, everyone's busy, or in whatever surgeries or whatever you're doing, you're so busy that you almost don't question the guidelines as much as people should. You just get on with things and kind of just say, right, I'm going to do this and I'll prescribe that pill and I'll do that. And actually, it's getting much better than it was, but just thinking of medicine as much more of a holistic thing. And I think, for example, moving to telemedicine, people need to have options to get medication online. People need to have consultations online, because especially this last year, that's accelerated, right? But I think just thinking of everyone as an individual is so important, because everyone is different and have different access, different needs, different ways of communicating. So I think I think it's just a little bit slow to move. And I get it, a lot of research takes time and development of medications takes time, and it should, because it needs to be legit and safe. But I think more people should challenge the norm and kind of get excited about new different things, and use that background and that experience in a positive way to make change. And
you and I've seen a huge shift in the last couple of years of loads of sex tech and femtech and products, sexual wellness products coming out. What shifts are you seeing in the industry that are exactly that? There is sort of especially loads of female founders. There are masses of female founders in this area now. And what do you think that is? What do you think it is that people are wanting to challenge?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think times have changed since we started. When we first raised investment, we'd get so many doors shut. We even came to you for advice, Emma. It felt like a male-dominated industry. I think over the last few years, it's gotten a bit easier, possibly because people are more understanding and accepting of this taboo topic. But I think equally, from an investment standpoint, people see the power of the pound in sexual wellness. And we're all, the UK are always a few years behind the US. And you've seen the rise of companies there that do really well. I think people realise now that they can take control of other aspects of their health, such as vaginal health, sexual wellness, not just standard health type health maintenance stuff. So I think it has changed. And I think a lot of that is to do with Me Too, Time's Up, really championing things like International Women's Day. Because it's giving you a platform to amplify your voice about things that are important to you. So, we're super pleased to see more and more female founders. I love the fact that year on year we're seeing a lot more. It's a huge market, and there's enough room for us to all play in.
Yeah, you're like old school players in it now.
I don't know
I'm past it in that world, and you're not the new kids on the block now.
We're still the babies. We need to keep new and relevant, like young teenagers.
Exactly. Notice us.
Well, that you've got there's more people to look up to and to champion this space. And I think, like you were saying before, Emma, half of the population have vaginas, and women aren't the same as men. We do have different needs and different kind of things that make us unique. So to have female founders, solving problems that are unique to women is really important.
Mm-hmm.
And in the past year, because obviously this year's been crazy and not normal, and I'm not buying into the new normal. It's going to be an old normal soon. In the weird normal of the last year, what have you been your biggest challenges? Because obviously you got into Boots in the last couple of years, and actually into actual retail outlets, which haven't really been open. Actually, no, some they have been, really, haven't they? The essentials. You'd be essentials, wouldn't you? What have been your like sort of biggest challenges in the last year that you suddenly weren't expecting, or actually has been a blessing in disguise? Or yeah,
it's been a real mixed bag for us. Like, a proportion of our customers use our products because they go out and they date and they shag.
the Tinder crowd.
Tinder crowd, right? Whereas actually, when lockdown hit, we were like, what does this mean? But I think what's helped is actually we were really receptive to our audience. So we listened to our consumers, we asked them what they needed there and then, what was going to help them. Convenience was a key theme that came up. So we thought, right, how can we really get our heads down and pivot the business to be convenient to our consumers and serve newer consumers like couples or people who are stuck in the house with their partner. So we launched new products. We launched things like the Hormone Harmony Kit, which helps those who wanted to come off hormonal contraceptives because they couldn't get a GP appointment to get their blood pressure checked, for example. And in that were packs like Candy Kittens, Pucker Tea, things to help with the side effects of coming off, and co-created vitamins as well. And then because convenience kept coming up, we thought, you know what? Essential shops are still open. We need to really try and hone in on the fact that it's important we are there so that when people buy their groceries, they can also buy Hanx. And I think when we spoke to the retailers, they could see that too. They were obviously seeing some kind of growth in the sexual wellness category alongside buying new broccoli and whatnot. And to see what we were offering in terms of bringing a different type of customer. So I think that was quite compelling to retailers. And when you combine that with our customer data, when they actually tell us on surveys we want this, can't argue with that. So I think that has helped us sort of get into retailers like Sainsbury's.
And have you, because I'm always asked that question of like, are people having more sex in lockdown and the crazy COVID world, or are they not? And I'm like, I think, me personally, I think it's like it's black and white. They're either they are or they're having nothing. It's sort of, there's not much of a grey. What are you seeing? Yeah, trends wise.
Like Farah said, you know, we've got different groups of people, and we've got people who have been dating or not been able to date because of lockdown, and then you've got people locked down together, and maybe they're in a new relationship but they've been locked down together, and that's kind of quite a nice situation to be in, and you know, they would be having more sex. But also libido is such a, you know, up and down thing for everyone, and actually we've also noticed that people are, you know, initially there was like a bit of a big surge, and then it kind of settled down a little bit, and then it's been a bit up and down. And we've done surveys around, did a survey around people's fantasies and stuff, like in lockdown, but in general. And yeah, it's just so, it's like you say, it's so black and white. Like some people are having like loads of great sex, and then some people are really finding it difficult to even get in the mood because they're stressed, and that has an effect on their libido, and they don't really feel like it. So it's so dependent on the person and the situation.
Cool. And finally, before we end this, on the theme of Choose to Challenge, what you've launched amazing products, and obviously what's next? Like what do you look out there in society, in the world of like sexual wellness, and go, that pisses me off, that needs sorting, I'm not happy about that yeah, I know what you two like, you're constantly, you know, going for it.
we can't reel all our plans, but we do have some exciting plans. I think for us, like, channel strategy is really important. It's not just, whilst D2C works really well, you know, you can order thrush and you can get it next day from us. We want to serve customers elsewhere, so we're always really keen to see exactly where our customer is. You know, not only is it retail, but maybe it's lifestyle brands, maybe it's in the hotels. So we really want to define our where people can get their Hanx, basically. And then I guess on the health side, we really want to develop that proposition. What are the taboo products that we see that women are not buying because they're embarrassed? And we can really tap into that with our fixed proposition, because we're effectively bolstered by third-party pharmacy. So the world is our oyster in a way, with vaginal health and intimate health products. So yeah.
What about you, Sarah?
Yeah, I think we're always kind of trying to open that conversation, you know, get our community talking about stuff that they maybe feel a bit awkward talking about, and improving sex education in schools, and kind of that whole education and conversation side is really important to us as a brand. And I think, like Farah kind of touched on it, but also offering choice for everyone. Like, we're all different. We have different needs at different points of our lives, and whether that's our reproductive life, our sexual life. And I think, you know, we want to be able to be a brand that people trust and can come to for whatever stage they're in. So yeah, just hoping that.
Oh, and just finally, because you get people, you know, who are young girls sort of coming out in uni, seeing these, and also people wanting to jump careers or launch their own thing. What if you're like, you know, 18-year-old self was sat with you now, and having gone through what you guys have been through, what's sort of the biggest advice? What would you say to them? Farah, you go first.
So I think be a sponge, learn as much as you can. You know, there's loads of free courses out there that you can tap into, like even university courses and different areas you're interested in. Reach out to people who are key people in the industry you want to go into, and be bold. What's the worst that can happen? They can just say no or ignore you, but don't be afraid to contact people and see if they're willing to give you even 15 minutes of their time for insight. I mean, that's what we did with you, Emma.
Oh, yeah, I mean, honestly, you're my worst stalkers ever.
Look at us now.
Well, honestly, they're like mosquitoes. I'm like, there they are again.
It worked. Without pissing
it worked. Here you are, and I love you. What about you, Sarah? What would you say?
Yeah, Farah's touched on some really good tips there. I think, you know, surround yourself with people that are going to champion you, support you, and also like Farah said, you know, get advice from people who know what they're talking about. I think also just take the risk. Like, you know, you're not going to regret. Like, you'll learn from any mistakes. We all make mistakes. That's the whole point. Like, you grow from it and you learn from it. But you're going to regret not doing something rather than doing something and learning from it. So just take the leap, do your research, and make sure you know what you're letting yourself in for. But like, just take the leap, because you're never going to know fully what you're letting yourself in for until you do it.
Just do it.
Go and get a there as well. That's always fun.
Yeah, cool. Well, do you know what? Thank you very much for taking the time out to tell your epic story. And do you know what? That's the thing. I mean, Durex, who, quite frankly, it's all about Hanx, and everyone should check out, because they're not just a condom anymore. They are way more than that. So have a look. Thanks, girls.
Thanks.